Hey guys, hope you're well. Just thought I'd go over a quick client Q&A question that I frequently get, and that is on the topic of a question with regards to hitting your protein and not going over your diet. So just to read it out, any tips for getting enough protein into my diet at the end of the day when I haven't hit my macros? Sometimes I tend to overhit my calorie intake when trying to reach my protein target. So I just wanted to hop into this topic here. And there are four things I want to say, actually five, but we will kind of just go over each one in detail. So first and foremost, don't be afraid to use protein powder as your main source of protein. That includes whey or whey isolate, whey concentrate, or if you're, say, not eating any dairy at this moment in time, or you're lactose intolerant, or you are entirely plant-based, then you can use protein powder in hemp form or pea-based protein, etc. But basically what I'm saying is that the bioavailability for the protein source that you get normally from a protein powder supplement is probably your best bang for your buck in terms of making sure that you get enough protein in, and it doesn't necessarily contribute to, say, other macros such as your carbs and fats when it comes to that. So you can say, make it your main source of protein source of food if you would like to rely on that. So don't be afraid to kind of pre-plan that into your diet on a more regular basis. You can double up on scoops as well. A lot of the questions I get is, can you have more than one scoop at one serving? Most of the time, unless you're unable to digest it, I wouldn't frequently kind of overhit, say, the servings amount. Say, for example, you go for 3 scoops or something like that, but you can hit, say, 2 scoops at once and get a double serving, if you like, of protein, and that will help you reach your protein targets. So essentially, you can use option 2, where you can carry calories over the next day. So, for example, if you've basically gotten to the point where you've hit your calories, but you're under your protein, I would still opt for you to try and hit your protein unless you're dramatically under your protein amount. So if you're going to go over, say, if by hitting your protein, you're going to go over by 200 to 300 calories, then I probably wouldn't opt for that. I would probably just call it a day. But ideally, you do want to try and hit your protein intake pretty consistently every single day for best results. That's going to help spike muscle protein synthesis, and that's going to help us repair our muscle tissue and actually get leaner as we are losing body fat, or even build muscle if that is your goal. So you can use the option of carrying calories over to the next day. So if it does take you over, say, 100 to maybe up to about 200 calories maximum, I would say, but you still hit your protein, then just use those 200 calories that you've overhit by and subtract that to the following day. That's going to help massively with regards to that. A strategy that I use and I get clients to use frequently is to plan protein first. So that is when you get into your food tracker, your MyFitnessPal, make sure that you plan out your day by primarily focusing on actually getting your protein target in. That way it kind of makes it easier for you to, eat your protein, but then also for you to plan your calories around it. It's a bit more pragmatic. It enables you to actually focus in on that more often and actually be more consistent. But usually that technique is usually best served for those that are wanting to hit their protein targets. And then if you're really struggling as well, you can just focus on your protein target overall, as opposed to focusing on your protein and calories. It's probably just getting used to actually eating more protein in general. And just from a lifestyle perspective, if you're a bit overwhelmed by trying to match the two at once, I would suggest that you could probably, instead of just focusing on just tracking your calories and not worrying about your protein intake, let's flip it and actually focus on hitting our protein target first and not worrying about a calorie intake as such, identifying that as a routine to hit your protein, and then you can strategically build in approaches to actually have a better structure with regards to your diet and hitting your calories overall. So just to note as well, just to respect the order of importance when it comes to your nutrition and your body composition and health as well. This is the order of importance. I have not made this up. This is from Eric Helm's Strength and Training Pyramids. it's a great book, but essentially it's basically an evidence-based approach when it comes to what order of priorities should you have when it comes to bettering your body composition, and what's important from most first as the foundation. I haven't drawn up a pyramid here, but that's essentially what this is. It's just a list of importance. So top to bottom would be, first and foremost, calories are king, or queen. And they essentially are the foundation for you to hit. So if you're worried about going over calories or trying to hit your protein too regularly, just remember that calories are king. Make sure that you hit your calories first and foremost. And if you are concerned about your protein, you could just focus on that the next day, knowing that you've still hit your target of hitting your calories. Macros and fiber. So fiber intake is a bonus on top of this, but it does include it. So I would still, once you've kind of achieved level of adequacy of hitting calories, the next focus should be hitting a good number of your protein targets. That's what we focus on here in JDCF first and foremost. We don't really focus on hitting your fats and carbs, just simply because you don't necessarily need to focus in on them to better your body composition. Gives you that much more flexibility as well. But fiber intake essentially would be beneficial just for helping you digest on a more easy basis. And normally that is, a range of 10 grams per 1,000 calories. So if you're having, say, 1,000 calories, that's 10 grams, 2,000 calories, that's 20 grams. And you can be a little bit above that, but I'd probably not opt to be a little bit below that. And then what's actually more thirdly important after that is micronutrients and water. So hydration, aim to pee 5 times clear throughout the day. That's going to be an indicator that you're hydrated, nothing more than that. Micronutrients is just making sure that you eat your fruit and vegetables, just for, health benefits, vitamins and minerals. Now, meal timing and frequency, this is where things get much less important, especially if you're not necessarily a bodybuilder or an athlete or anything like that. Meal timing and frequency is just basically timing your meals as best as possible so that you can get the most out of your training. And also in terms of just recovery as well. So that's going to be a little bit beneficial, but only if you focus on these 3 things first. This is kind of like a waste of time if you're not focusing on these 3 things. And then frequency as well. The amounts you eat, a lot of questions you get is, should I eat, say, 3 meals a day, or should I eat 5 meals a day? And meal timing kind of crosses into, should I eat, say, past 6 p.m. These things are least important when it comes to this. Frequency of amounts, I would always just say a happy range of 3 to 6 meals per day is optimal. If you have 2, it's okay, but probably not if your aim is to build muscle. You want to be actually trying to split things a bit more evenly throughout the day. And then last but not least is supplements. Don't need to say much about this. Just make sure that, if you're eating your fruit and vegetables, if you're getting your micronutrients in, you're hitting your calories, you're drinking your water, then supplements is literally the icing on the cake to this. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But that answers your question in terms of making sure that you hit your protein. Just making sure, just to summarize, I would say plan protein first. Use the option of carrying calories over to the next day if needs be. And yeah, that's it really. Take care.